Hi, and welcome back to FSD TV. I'm your host, Mark Sonny, and today we have Dionna Spencer with us, who's another Reader's Workshop teacher, and she's going to teach us how to get by some tricky words when you're reading. So, Dionna, take it away.
Hi friends, my name is Mrs. Spencer, and I'm a second grade teacher at Woodcrest right here in Fullerton, and I'm going to teach you a Reader's Workshop lesson. So, for today's lesson, you will need something to write with. It could be a whiteboard and a marker, it could be a paper and a pencil, you can use your iPad, whatever you want as long as you have something to write with. So let's get started. Today, my lesson is I wanted to teach you that when readers come across tricky words in their books, they figure out what those tricky words say by looking through the word part by part. So let me show you what I mean. I was reading this story called A Visit to the Vet by Aubrey Andress, and I came across a tricky word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out that tricky word by looking through the word part by part. So I'm going to write that tricky word down on my whiteboard. It says, vets know how to keep all kinds of animal species healthy, from dogs to, and then I got to my tricky word. So I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to write it down on my whiteboard. Here I go. I'm going to figure out what this tricky word says by looking through the word part by part. So here we go. I know this says ele. PH says so elef. I know this is the word ant. Elef, ant, elephant, and then I add the S at the end. Elephants. So do you see how I did that, friends? I figured out what that tricky word said by looking through the word part by part. So I'm going to show you how to do that one more time. Here we go. I kept reading my book and I came across another tricky word. So the sentence says, it's really important that animals of all sizes get wellness, and I got stuck on that tricky word again. So easy peasy, all I have to do is write that tricky word down and break it apart into pieces to figure out what that tricky word says. So I'm going to write my tricky word down on my whiteboard. Okay, and I'm gonna look through the word part by part. Here we go. CH says ch, so ch, ek, check, check. I know UP says up, so check up, checkups. So the tricky word is checkups. So it says, it's really important that animals of all sizes get wellness checkups. That's the tricky word. So now I want you to try. You're going to write down the tricky word on your whiteboard, your iPad, your paper, your pencil, whatever you have to write with. And you are going to look through that tricky word part by part to see if you can figure out what it says. Here we go. Vets weigh pets at each. Got stuck on that tricky word again. So here we go. I want you to write this down at your house, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna write it down. You're copying this at your house. I want you to copy this word down. And I want you to look through the word part by part, just like you saw me do. You're going to try that. So I'm gonna give you a second and go ahead and look through that word part by part. I'm gonna give you a minute. Through that word part by part, just like you saw me do. Maybe look at this part here, maybe that part, and then that last part, break it up into pieces. Okay, all right, let's check your word. So, I know this says app, OI says oi, app, oi, oint, app, oint, meant, appointment, appointment, right? Because I don't say appointment, I say an appointment. So, vets weigh pets at each appointment. That makes sense. All right, we figured out exactly what that tricky word says. Now, I want you to try that one more time. So I came across another tricky word in my book, and I'm going to write it down, and I want you to be writing this down also. And I want you to figure out what this tricky word says by looking through it part by part. So go ahead, I'm going to give you a second. Maybe look at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and see if you can figure out what that tricky word says. All right, let's go ahead and check your answer. So let's look at the beginning. We have if, diff. I know ER says so diff, and ENT, ent, diff, ent, different. So I just figured out that tricky word is different. Good job. So today we learned that when readers come across tricky words in their books, they figure out what those tricky words say by looking through the word part by part. So I want you to use this new reading strategy that you learned in your books today and practice figuring out those tricky words. Have fun, boys and girls. Bye.
Thank you, Dionna. And as Run DMC once said, it's tricky. On behalf of myself, Mark Sonny, this has been FSD TV.